Producing these family history videos is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Everyone has stories that include happiness, sadness, humor, excitement, and so on. If you create this video, it'll be a fantastic legacy to pass on, and it'll make your descendants laugh and cry all at the same time. Included in this video are some of the clips of my family that will hopefully give you some ideas for yours. By the way, this tractor is about 75 years old, still working.
His dad took him to the station, my grandfather, and he couldn't say goodbye, so he just left him there, and then he went on the train.
The examples in this video are describing rural life in the 1920s and 1930s.
A long trip by sea because it took them over, I don't know, probably 10 days or 2 weeks to make the trip over. So.
On her ocean voyage that are worth
Yes,
mentioning.
it was scary at times because it was during the First World War in 1916, because they could hear gunshots in the distance.
We all have pictures and videos of weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, etc. Consider expanding on that. Get real life stories about your family, especially the elder members if you can. Get it together, you can always put it together later. The key is to get it together, get it done first. Discuss your video idea with your elders, and if they're willing to tell their stories, take your time. Give them time to think about it, write out one story at a time, because chances are later on you or they will think of something else to add to the story. Be sure to include your own stories too, that you can remember. This next video recalls my grandfather hauling grain with this wagon and horses, told through the eyes of his children.
You wrote from his notes, Myrtle, that he would come home from East End in the wintertime and he'd come in the door and he said that cold old stove would be looking at him, asking him, "Are you hungry?"
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't think today we can imagine there's no thermostat, there's no heat, and you're hungry.
When you think you have all the material, break your questions into one story at a time. Then break the story into as many questions as you can. That way you should get a detailed response, and hopefully nothing gets missed.
And he worked out in the summer and stayed on the farm in the winter. And they had to break 10 acres a year, I think, up to 40 acres, I think.
Be sure to describe the people and events and maybe even locations, because 50 or 100 years from now, when someone finds this, dusts it off and decides to see what it's all about, they're not going to know the people in the video. If you have old pictures and videos, insert them when you're discussing a relevant topic. And distribute your video or videos to as many family members as you can, because over the years some will get lost, some will be destroyed, and that way it has a better chance of surviving over time. To add to the enjoyment and engage viewers, have a trivia section about items of the day that might not exist in the future, or whatever trivia type items that work for you. Choose a specific time frame such as your grandfather or your grandmother's lifetime, and do it in order of the early years to the later years. Engage as many family members as you can, as the more creative ideas and memories, the better.
borrowing $10 or money to, cause you had
yes.
no,
They had on the farm they had lots of fruit trees, and Mom always did canning because to keep everybody with some food during the winter. But she didn't have. She ran out of sugar, so she had to. So my dad went to the bank to see if he could borrow $10 so that she could do up this fruit. And the bank manager said, well, he was sorry he couldn't loan it to her because Dad didn't have the required financial background. Put his hand in his pocket and took out a $10 bill and gave it to him. He was going to be the first one to pay that back, and that's what he did.
A $10 loan might seem silly to us today, but during the homesteading years, there was very little money. This next example shows some of the hard times they faced. A bank book from 1933, in April they had $150 in the bank, and by February of the next year there was $1.50 left. Today we need money to go to the grocery store, but they had oats to grind to make rolled oats for breakfast. They had chickens that provided eggs and poultry, cows that provided milk and beef, and pigs that provided pork, and all that homemade canned fruit and vegetables. So even though they were on hard times and didn't have any money, they ate okay. Don't try to make your video perfect. This is real people telling real life stories.
in your notes, you put, you'd come home and help run the washing machine. What did that mean?
Oh yeah, I hated that job. Every Saturday was wash day, and we had one of these. It was mechanized washing machine. It was had a wheel around on the top there, but it had a lever on the front, and it was kind of eccentric thing. So when you pull the lever back, the wheel would turn. It push it back and would turn the other way. Pull it back. We'd pull that like this, back and forth for 20 minutes for a wash day. And we watched that. We never went 1 second over 20 minutes.
Here's another clip about the transformation of plowing the field with horses to driving a tractor. I can't imagine. The steel seat must have got awful hard after a while.
Alan, you had a story about your dad drove horses for so long that when he'd get a tractor and stop the tractor,
that was in 1942.
Laugh at him.
He got a tractor in 42.
Tell that story.
And he started to cultivate down south here with the tractor. It was a 2236 McCormick Deering. And he got that from R.E. Robinson for $600, I think. And I saw him going with the cultivator south here. And right at the south end, he was trying to turn and it wouldn't. And I could hear him say, "Whoa, whoa." He's still used to driving horses.
In the 1930s, this was their only entertainment. There was no TV, no cell phones, no phone, actually.
I understand that in the evening you'd have your ear to the radio.
Oh,
and
yes.
certain stories would come on.
That's right. It was a battery operated radio, and when the battery got low, you could barely hear it. So it was a race to get to the radio to get whose ear could get there first to hear it. Gangbusters.
Mom didn't like us to listen to
The
that.
news. Oh no, she didn't want us to listen to that. Gangbusters. It was too rough.
About the shadow.
The Shadow and Foster Hewitt and Saturday Night Hockey.
Was the soap, was it homemade?
Yes, it was homemade lye soap.
Together at Camp Dundurn?
Yeah, we could join when you were 16 years old.
Most rural schoolhouses were a one-room schoolhouse, grades 1 to 12, with one teacher. All that's left of their school is this chimney.
Orville, can you describe your school bus?
How it come to be our school bus?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that just a saying. They called it a school bus, but it was still just a horse hooked to the cart.
Yeah.
So it was one horse, and the cart would hold about
But how?
3 maybe on each side. But we had that escape hatch right at the back. So when the horse got too wild, if he started running away, we had an out. We could bounce out the back.
And how you would get home when you couldn't see the road.
Yeah.
Just describe a winter trip.
In the winter, when it was blizzarding and stuff, we'd use a closed-in cutter. Dad made the cutter, but it was closed in and had a little window in the front. You could flip it up in the day so they could see better. But underneath the window, there was a slot there to put the lines through. So if on a stormy day, we could pull the lines through those. You don't see very far. So what we do, the horses we got, we used to tie the horses' lines so they were loose and told them to get up, and away they went, walking, and pretty soon we got to our yard. And the horses are so used to going from the school home, and they had a stormy day. We'd just sit back and let them go, and they'd walk right into the yard, come up, and and they never met. I don't know what happened if they'd went by the yard, because you couldn't see anything,
I do.
Say it, you guys.
Scissor, rip, rip, rip. Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Zip,
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 zip.
zip. Are we in it? Well, I guess. Plato, Plato, yes, yes, yes.
That's the way to go.
This is a combine you saw in the thumbnail for this video. It's done its work. Now it sits by as a reminder of days gone by. If you have any questions or think you might like some assistance with your video, you can contact me. If you'd like to view our entire family history video, contact me and I'll send you the link. Your video will probably have some mistakes that you'll have to cut out. Consider adding a few at the end just for a little extra humor. Producing these family history videos close in the evening, and they dial in on this radio operated. So they radio operated? Hello. If you enjoyed this video, please click on our logo in the corner and like or subscribe if you'd like to see more of our videos. Thanks for watching and good luck with your project.